Welcome to our channel. Today we delve into the fall of Assad and the new era for Syria. Damascus, the ancient heart of Syria, is a city of contrasts. Its streets, steeped in history, now echo with the sounds of both celebration and sorrow. This city, which has seen empires rise and fall, stands at a crossroads once again. The air crackles with a mixture of euphoria and apprehension. Fireworks light up the night sky, and the streets are filled with the sounds of joyous shouts and laughter. Yet behind every cheer there is a shadow of doubt. In the streets, throngs of people celebrate the downfall of Bashar al-Assad. Flags wave high and songs of freedom fill the air. For many, this moment is a dream realized, a hard-fought victory after years of relentless struggle. Their chants echo through the ravaged squares, a testament to the yearning for freedom that fueled years of struggle. The voices of the people, once silenced by fear, now rise in unison, demanding a new dawn for Syria. Yet, beneath the surface of jubilation, a current of uncertainty runs deep. Faces that beam with joy also show lines of worry. The question on everyone's mind is, what comes next? The scars of war are everywhere. Buildings, once symbols of pride and heritage, now stand as hollow shells, reminders of the relentless bombardment and fierce battles that tore through the city. Buildings lie in ruins, bearing witness to the brutal conflict that engulfed the nation. Streets that once bustled with life are now strewn with rubble and debris, silent testimonies to the violence that has scarred this land. The scent of gunpowder lingers in the air, a stark reminder of the violence that gripped this once vibrant city. The smoke that still rises from the ruins is a haunting echo of the battles fought and lives lost. Amidst the celebrations, there are whispers of fear. The future is uncertain. Conversations in hushed tones reveal the anxiety that grips the hearts of many. What will the new leadership bring? Will peace finally prevail? The power vacuum left by Assad's demise has created fertile ground for instability. With the old regime gone, the streets are patrolled by soldiers and government buildings stand empty, waiting for new occupants. In the dimly lit cafes, intellectuals and activists debate Syria's future. These discussions, filled with hope and trepidation, are the seeds of what could become a new political landscape. Their voices, hushed yet passionate, reflect the hopes and anxieties of a nation on the cusp of transformation. Each word spoken carries the weight of a nation's dreams and fears as they ponder the path forward. The fall of Assad marks the end of an era. His regime, which ruled with an iron fist, is now a chapter in history. The images of his rule are now relics of a past that many are eager to move beyond, but it also heralds the beginning of a new and unpredictable chapter in Syria's long and turbulent history. As the sun rises over Damascus, it brings with it the promise of a new day, filled with both hope and uncertainty. The future of Syria is unwritten and its people stand ready to shape it. For over 5 decades, the Assad family cast a long shadow over Syria, shaping its political landscape with an iron grip and a legacy of authoritarian rule. Hafez al-Assad, Bashar's father, seized power in a bloodless coup in 1970. His rise to power marked the beginning of a new era in Syrian politics, one characterized by strict control and limited freedoms. He ruthlessly consolidated his grip on power, crushing dissent with an iron fist. Political opponents were silenced, and any form of opposition was met with severe consequences. His son Bashar inherited this authoritarian mantle in 2000. Bashar, an ophthalmologist by training, was thrust into the political arena following the death of his older brother Basil. Initially, Bashar's accession raised hopes for reform. Many Syrians believed that his Western education and youth would bring about much-needed changes and modernization. He was young, Western-educated, and seemingly more moderate than his father. His early promises of reform and modernization gave the Syrian people a glimmer of hope for a brighter future. Yet, these hopes proved illusory. The initial optimism faded as Bashar's regime continued the oppressive practices of his father, failing to deliver on promises of political and economic reform. Bashar al-Assad proved to be a chip off the old block, perpetuating the family's legacy of repression. His government maintained a tight grip on power, using the military and security forces to stifle dissent. In 2011, the Arab Spring uprising swept across the Middle East, igniting a wave of protests and demands for change in numerous countries. Syria, too, was caught in the maelstrom. Inspired by the movements in Tunisia and Egypt, Syrians took to the streets, calling for greater freedoms and an end to corruption. Protests, initially peaceful, were met with brutal force. The regime's response was swift and violent, aiming to crush the burgeoning movement before it could gain momentum. The regime's crackdown ignited a civil war that would consume the nation for over a decade. The conflict devastated cities, displaced millions, and led to a humanitarian crisis of unprecedented scale. The conflict in Syria was a complex and multifaceted tragedy. It involved numerous factions, each with their own goals, and drew in foreign powers, further complicating the situation. It drew in regional and global powers, each pursuing their own agendas. The involvement of countries like the United States, Russia, and Iran turned Syria into a battleground for international interests. The use of chemical weapons by the regime shocked the world and underscored the brutality of the conflict. These attacks caused international outrage and highlighted the dire situation in Syria. Millions were displaced, seeking refuge in neighboring countries and beyond. The refugee crisis became one of the most pressing humanitarian issues of our time, with countless families torn apart and lives forever changed. The Syrian civil war was not a monolithic conflict. It was a complex and multifaceted struggle that involved numerous actors and interests, both domestic and international. It was a fractured and brutal struggle, with a dizzying array of factions vying for control. These factions ranged from moderate groups seeking democratic reforms to extremist organizations with radical ideologies. On one side stood the Assad regime, backed by Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah. This alliance provided the regime with significant military and logistical support, allowing it to maintain a stronghold over key territories. On the other side, a loose coalition of rebel groups, each with their own ideologies and objectives, fought against the regime. This coalition was diverse, including secularists, Islamists, and ethnic militias, all united by their opposition to Assad. The rebel advance was swift and decisive. Utilizing guerrilla tactics and leveraging local support, they managed to capture significant territories in a short period. Operation Deterrence of Aggression, launched on November 27, 2024, caught the regime off guard. This operation was meticulously planned and executed, showcasing the rebels' growing military capabilities. Strategic cities fell in rapid succession. Aleppo, the former industrial heartland, a city that had seen some of the fiercest battles of the war, was now under rebel control. Hama, known for its historic water wheels, a city with deep cultural and historical significance, also fell to the advancing rebels. Homs, dubbed the capital of the revolution, was another major victory. This city had been a symbol of resistance and had endured prolonged sieges and battles. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, a jihadist group with roots in al-Qaeda, played a pivotal role in the offensive. Their involvement added a layer of complexity to the conflict, as their goals often diverged from those of other rebel factions. Led by the enigmatic Abu Muhammad al-Julani, HTS proved to be a formidable fighting force. Al-Julani's leadership and strategic acumen were instrumental in their battlefield successes. Their battlefield successes, however, raised concerns about their ultimate goals in a post-Assad Syria. Many feared that HTS's vision for Syria was incompatible with the democratic aspirations of other rebel groups. The fall of Damascus, the seat of Assad's power, marked a turning point in the war. This city, which had been the epicenter of the regime's authority, was now in rebel hands. The regime's defenses crumbled, and Bashar al-Assad's fate remains unknown. The collapse of the regime's stronghold in Damascus signaled a dramatic shift in the balance of power. The capture of the capital sent shockwaves across the region and beyond, signaling the end of an era. The implications of this victory were profound, reshaping the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. The loss of Assad is a major blow to Iran's regional ambitions. It undermines their axis of resistance and exposes their vulnerabilities. The collapse of the Assad regime represents a significant setback for both Russia and Iran. For years, Syria served as a crucial node in their regional strategies. Moscow's intervention in 2015 propped up the flagging Assad regime and allowed Russia to reassert itself as a major player in the Middle East. The loss of its naval base in Tartus, Russia's only Mediterranean port, is a strategic blow. It undermines Russia's ability to project power in the region, and weakens its hand in the eastern Mediterranean. Iran, too, has invested heavily in propping up the Assad regime. Syria provided a vital land bridge for Iranian support to Hezbollah in Lebanon. The fall of Assad disrupts this supply line and weakens Iran's influence in the Levant. The reverberations of Assad's fall will be felt far beyond Syria's borders. it has the potential to reshape alliances and redraw the geopolitical map of the Middle East. The collapse of Assad's regime has sent shockwaves throughout the region. With the power vacuum left behind, many fear the specter of instability looms large. It's a time of uncertainty, and the world watches closely, wondering what the future holds for Syria and its people. As the dust settles on the fall of Assad's regime, the northern border of Syria remains a region of great uncertainty. The power vacuum left behind has created a complex and volatile situation. Neighboring countries, local factions, and international powers all vie for influence, each with their own agendas. The future of this region is, well, a delicate balancing act that will shape the geopolitical landscape for years to come. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, once a formidable force in the Syrian conflict, has undergone significant transformations. Originally an offshoot of al-Qaeda, this group has rebranded itself several times in an attempt to gain legitimacy. Their role in the post-Assad era remains ambiguous as they navigate between militant extremism and political pragmatism. The evolution of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham will be a key factor in determining the stability of the region. With the fall of Assad's regime, Syria faces the daunting task of rebuilding from the ashes of war. The path towards peace and reconstruction is fraught with challenges, but also holds the promise of a new beginning. International aid, local governance, and community resilience will play crucial roles in this process. Syrians, both at home and abroad, are hopeful for a future where they can rebuild their lives and their nation. The fall of Assad's regime marks the beginning of a new chapter in the Middle East. The ripple effects of this event will be felt across the region, influencing politics, alliances, and conflicts. As new leaders emerge and old ones adapt to the changing landscape, the Middle East stands on the brink of transformation. The world watches closely, aware that the decisions made today will shape the future of this pivotal region.
If you found this video insightful, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification button to stay updated with our latest content.